Was it a fluke or is Baylor actually back? Cam Stuart, Locked On Baylor Bears, joining me here on the show. Let's start with that, Cam. You, me, Drake, everybody except a select few inside of the city of Waco's city limits thought Baylor would stink it up and then fire Dave Aranda, and here we are. Well, they could be a Big 12 contender next year, and they're top half of the conference in odds. So what are we doing here?
We're getting back, Spencer. That's what we're doing here. We are getting so back. Okay. Look, I understand why some people might have some concerns from the outside about this Baylor team going into this year, because we were also ready to get rid of Dave Aranda. I was ready to get rid of Dave Aranda for sure. But they bring back the most important positions. And it's like people will say, oh, they didn't beat a ranked team last year. And it's like, well, the Big 12 ain't changing. Like, everyone beats up on everybody. They're not going to be playing more than 3 ranked teams in the conference, right? They have some tough ones to start, but like, they bring back Jake Spavital at offensive coordinator, Saywer Robertson, quarterback, who really fit that. Your top 2 running backs who really fit that offense. And arguably, I thought your 2 most impactful pass catchers, maybe even 3, are all coming back for this year for an offense that was outstanding in the back half of the season that led them to a 6-game winning streak. Defense, it's a different issue. But I think they can get to the Big 12 championship game with the offense they have right now.
See, that's a big statement to me. We're going to get to Saywer Robertson, who might be the most underrated quarterback in the Big 12 going into next year, because he just had a sneaky great season, but no one really noticed because we had preconceived notions about Baylor, which is why this show exists, of course, Cam, to change the narrative, to influence the college football fan base out there. But Baylor's schedule going into next year, I mean, boy.
You like that? You like that? You like that? You like that?
No,
September,
Kirk
baby?
Cousins. I don't like that if I'm a Baylor fan. I love it as a college football fan, but not all records are created equal in college football. And I tell you what, Baylor has the Florida schedule of Big 12 schedules next year. For those who are unfamiliar, I'll just read you the Big 12 teams. I won't mention the 2 Power 4 non-conference opponents who could both be ranked at the end of the season. Their Big 12 schedule has ASU, that just won the conference, Oklahoma State on the road, Kansas State, at TCU, at Cincy and UCF, that's manageable. Then closes with Utah, at Arizona, and Houston, who's going to be much improved. What did Baylor do to tick off Brett Yormark, where he said, here, have the worst schedule I could give you?
Hey, I love it. I love it, man. I actually think it's advantageous for him. I think the true ones that we look at in February, Spencer, that are the tough games are at the beginning of the schedule for the most part. The 2 toughest that I see, right? Kansas State, that's a home game. Arizona State, that's a home game. And you've got them within the first 6 weeks of the year. You know how much the committee loves the teams that do well at the end of the season. They don't care about the ones who start out, 6-0, but end 10-2, losing 2 in a row. They don't like that. They like, the 10-2,
BYU,
the 10-2s that are not created equal. That's a good example. Good example, my folks out in Provo. So they like the teams that start out 4-2 and then win 6 in a row. They like those better. So I like having those kind of at the front. Utah, I've come around a little bit on Utah, not to be like odds-on favorite to win the conference, which is what Vegas thinks they are. But I still think Utah can stub some toes. Let's put it that way. And so that towards the end of the season, I don't like. But for the most part, you got some of your biggest games at home. And for Baylor historically and Dave Aranda historically, that's the best you can ask for.
By the way, I don't know who this Vegas character is you allude to, but I use FanDuel.
Big Vegas from Bar Rescue.
I use FanDuel. Nice. I use FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, who have the 2 preseason favorites as Arizona State and Kansas State tied at the top. And what do you know? Baylor's got both of them on the schedule and others as well. Their non-conference has Auburn at home and at SMU. I don't know what they're thinking with those games, but
thinking they're going to beat both of them and really put the nation on notice.
Okay, but do you actually think that, or do you just think there is an opportunity to put the nation up? Because if Baylor wins their first 3 non-conference games, let's not forget about the powerhouse that is Samford. The Bulldogs will
Stanford's
not
their
be
toughest
messing
game
around.
in September. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, 100%.
Look, with Auburn, though, I know they had a good portal, really good portal. And everyone loves the recruits they're bringing in. But if we're talking about the players who have played on this team and are coming to the team next year, Baylor's a better team than Auburn. And SMU, who is a team that I really respected through this whole year, not even a road game. They don't have a home field advantage. Okay? So that already you take out a huge part of what FanDuel would put towards SMU. You know, having that home field advantage gives them a couple points. They don't have it. So, yes, I do like Baylor in those games.
Okay. I mean,
I do like Baylor. Yeah.
That's bold. Yeah. You got the BU hat on there. Maybe just so slightly on the bias
Still paying
side.
them, though.
Yeah, of course. But let's talk about Saywer Robertson because, I mean, the numbers from this past year, really good. What exactly was Baylor waiting for in figuring out who the starting quarterback was? Because, boy, once he got in there, suddenly Baylor was the hottest team in the league.
The only negative I took at the end of this Baylor season was, but can they actually identify who the right quarterback is?
Yeah.
Because, you know, they put their eggs in the Blake Shapen basket a couple years ago, which I think was still probably the right choice at the time. But you significantly downgraded your record-wise the 2 years after going to the Sugar Bowl with Gary Bohannon. And then they picked Taquan Finn over Saywer Robertson. Saywer Robertson has never won a quarterback battle at the college level. And yet he was absolutely snubbed for being an all Big 12 player this past year and has the best QBR of any returning quarterback in the nation going into 2025. The kid's an absolute stud. He walks on the field. He puts on his pads and his helmet. And he throws 3 touchdowns in the game. That's all he does. Man, he throws touchdowns, he runs for touchdowns, and he turned this team around. He got the whole team Yeti coolers. He's like the most beloved player in the whole Big 12. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. I felt like Costanza's dad in the Jay Buhner episode. Remember? You don't know what the hell you're doing. That's what I thought about when you saw 2 games.
How could you trade Jay Buhner?
What are you trading Jay Buhner for? By the way, that relates all because he played at MCC, which is in Waco, so it all comes back. It's all coming up Waco. I don't know why they didn't pick Saywer Robertson at the beginning, but lest they have to make a decision this year, it has fallen into their lap, and then after that, the succession plan will probably turn towards Walker White. Ironically, coincidentally enough, the Auburn transfer.
The Auburn transfer.
4-star guy coming out of high school, top 3 dual threat quarterback in the nation, who was also considering Baylor out of high school. So finally, it feels like there's some sort of succession plan at that position for Baylor.
Well, will the Bears be West Virginia or will they be something else this year? Time will only tell. Cam Stuart, Locked On Baylor. Great stuff. Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time. And until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.